first of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States.
Here's Marco Rubio making the rounds on Sunday talk shows, talking to Kristen Welker over on MSNBC, or on it's not even MSNBC anymore, just regular old boring NBC, talking about the U.S. controlling Venezuelan oil.
States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry.
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela.
Okay, so there's some interesting stuff here. We got a bunch of clips of Rubio because, again, he's just doing a bang-up job here. What he's saying is we have a ton of oil. Now, for years and years, we did not drill. What's one thing that Trump said during his reelection, and said it the first time around too, and the second time? Drill, baby, drill, right? Like, we have plenty of oil here in the United States. So it's not that we need the oil per se, but if China and Iran, other countries who are across the world, are making a play on Venezuelan oil, if they are all working together in cahoots, then it can completely screw up the market and everything else. So now, if we are, let's say, a little friendlier with new leadership in Venezuela, there might be a different game as it relates to worldwide oil prices and all that. But even removing oil from this for a second, the reason I mentioned Evelyn earlier, and the reason that I mentioned my neighbor across the street and some of the guys that I was playing basketball with this weekend who are Venezuelan, is that the people that have had to flee know what communism is. And the people who have lived under it know what it is. There seems to be a certain set of leftists, and I would say far-right nutbags, the horseshoe theory of politics, that don't want to ever do anything good to stop bad guys. But actually, people that have lived through this crap, they know what's up. Here's Rubio, again with Welker, talking about the 8 million people who left Venezuela.
8 million people left Venezuela. 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela in 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Okay, so again, this is a new sheriff is in town, not under President Trump. So yes, there's an oil situation here, right? For sure. There's a drug situation, for sure. There is a people living under communism situation, for sure. And then the other part is the mass immigration situation, right? So whether it's mass immigration that's coming from Africa and the Middle East for whatever reason that's flooding Europe, or whether there are 8 million people basically in 12 years, pretty much 12 years, 8 million people fleeing a country. How many people live in Venezuela? Give me a total population of Venezuela. I mean, that's a ridiculously high percentage of people to have to flee that country. We're a country of 350 million people. Imagine if 8 million people left. Like, that's not that significant, but it's an awful lot of people. How many people? 28 million right now. So 28 million people right now live in Venezuela, and 8 million people have fled in the last 11 or 12 years. That's an extraordinary amount of human capital and just literal bodies that are leaving your country. And again, why are they leaving? Like, oh my God, I just wanted to get the high hell out of here. Everything's great here, but I really want to test it in America. No, you're leaving because it's shitty. You're leaving because they're confiscating your stuff. You're leaving because you are fleeing an overarching government.